Good day to you. My name is Maria Kondzielska and you are watching Poland Daily Culture. And we take you for a Chinese wedding. Here with me is Olgierd Uziębła, a sinologist. Thank you again for coming to us.
Thank you for inviting me.
And since a wedding is an extremely important thing in all cultures, I would say, Polish-Chinese weddings are even more complicated, as you mentioned in the previous episode. They are twice as expensive because...
Yes, because there are two families in two different countries, and you have choice, either to ship one family to another country.
Which, including China and how far it is, it's already expensive.
Or you have two weddings, which is expensive, but not as much. So I have one wedding in China and one wedding in Poland to make all the families happy. So this is already expensive. And then you have all the, you know, it's in a way it's good because you have a reason to be in China all the time because you're traveling back and forth, usually. Or one of the couple is suffering because he's not traveling enough.
I see. But the question is, for example, if you're marrying a Chinese person, you're Polish, and you want to stay in China, do you need to give up your Polish citizenship, or not necessary?
China is not a foreigner-friendly country, so it is not really possible to get Chinese citizenship that easy. Of course, if you want to get a Chinese citizenship, you'd have to give up Polish. But it's not easy to get a Chinese citizenship in the first place. So giving up Polish citizenship and staying without
the citizenship at all.
Without country, so you're a person without a passport, it's not a good idea. On the other hand, Poland is receiving Chinese people pretty well, and they are getting citizenship eventually. Not like in China.
But what I've heard...
What is really interesting, and that's something I got to know from some of my Chinese wedded friends, is that if you are wedded to Chinese person, you get a permit to live in China because of that, you're not allowed to work.
You're not allowed to work?
Yes.
Okay, so you can just stay and live off the person you married to, but not to work.
I have no idea what is the logic behind it, but, you know, that's a bureaucratic logic. It doesn't have any connection with the normal logic.
But what I've learned is the fact that Chinese people, even though they can be very, sometimes can be closed and even not so open for the foreigners, when it comes to marriages, they are pretty liberal and they treat the situation as just incorporating other people to China, like making them more Chinese.
It's more complicated than that. In certain ways, a foreign husband or foreign wife is a matter of status. Again, you have a foreign iron, which is a Chinese word for a spouse, and you have a foreign iron. It's wow, it's in the family. It's good. But on the other hand, sometimes it's getting difficult because Chinese are still a bit xenophobic. Xenophobic is a way, and sometimes it's difficult to find yourself, to find friends.
But on the other hand, I've said, for example, in Japan, there are situations, they are so xenophobic, there are situations that even in the underground, when you're sitting in the tube, they can sit on the other side, they can change their seat, just not to sit next to you because you're white.
I haven't realized that they have enough space in the tube to do that.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
In China, it's maybe not like that.
They not definitely not have enough space.
No, in China, you just learn to ignore what is happening outside, and foreigners are a good thing to look at and see what's happening. And foreigners in a workplace, depends on what is a workplace, they are accepted, but they're never treated equally. That's one of the problems. So a lot of couples prefer to move out.
I see, to move out of China. And when it comes to cultural differences, what are the biggest challenges when it comes to such marriages?
Well, it depends if you're a man or a woman.
Well, let's talk about both. Let's start with the woman.
Well,
you're a Polish woman, you're married to a Chinese person, to a Chinese guy, you risk already some disadvantages.
It really depends on who is the guy you're married to, but generally, if you're taking, just an average guy, there are some problems with, being very hierarchical. So, father of the family is the most important one.
I thought the mother of the family is the most important.
No.
The grandma, like the...
If a woman who is married is a grandma already, then we're not talking about the same thing. No, it's until she's grandma, she's going to listen to her husband.
Oh, I see.
And it is problematic sometimes, sometimes not. I know some marriages that fell apart because of that, but I know some marriages who function well because the guy who was married to a Polish girl was so much outside Chinese culture that he was actually nicer than most of the Polish guys.
I see. And the other way around, so when it comes to a guy?
Well, Polish guys are not hardworking enough.
I see. Of course, hard work and making a lot of money is
is absolutely the paramount value. You have to work hard, you have to provide for the family, and the wife has to have a lot of money to spend. Otherwise, you're not a real husband.
Fair enough. Okay.
And this sometimes is a problem, that the nicest guys are the guys who are not having a lot of money, and then it's like, why?
I see. So they need to put up the challenge and they work even harder, since Chinese are really hardworking.
Yes.
And for us, even I've heard that it's traditionally that the parents don't raise their children, the grandparents raise their children because the parents should work.
Parents should work, and there is the thing that the parents should provide for children and from the grandparents.
That's a lot of work and a lot of providing.
Yes, it's a lot of providing, since Chinese pension system does not work too well. So the parents needs to be taken care of, and the children needs to be provided for, and the grandparents may help with the grandchildren, but then the earning part is for the parents. So when the child is taken out because she's outside, like in foreign country, she's supposed to send the money in.
I see. So that's...
Even if the children are with her, still the grandparents, her parents need to be provided for.
Wow. Even when it comes to divorce...
those are very ugly things.
Very ugly things.
Yes.
I can imagine. I would say they're ugly in every culture.
Yes, and especially between cultures. I have seen, as a translator, a lot of things happening, a lot of accusations. The most absurd accusation, all you can imagine, can go on in order to win. Then there is not an order. It's not a... Of course, it depends on the people. If people are cultured enough, they take care of the children even though they're divorced. But in most of the cases, the children become weapons as well. And it's ugly.
Chinese, Polish weapons. Well, that's the worst message thing to do.
You remember that it's hard enough within one culture to communicate between man and woman. Sometimes in the very simple matters. Between cultures, it becomes even more complicated. And if you lose love, it quickly becomes a mass destruction.
Well, there was a hard part of getting married and getting divorced. Well, the message is, get married, but don't get divorced between cultures, because that's very ugly. And there are more Chinese than Poles.
Think before marriage. That's the most important part.
Think before marriage, then. That's also part. I would say think always. Thinking is not a bad idea altogether, but thank you very much for watching Poland Daily Culture.